from like architectural background, so I studied architecture. I graduated in 2010 and from Egypt, but I had like this passion for computational design since 2009, which was early on in the world to everybody to work with Grasshopper and what sort. So I was kind of doing my own experimentation with Grasshopper, at home, but I couldn't work with it, so I started working in exhibition design and museography for about 5 years, and I did a couple of projects with my old company, like the company that I used to work for. We did projects, museums in Sharjah, in Dubai, in Qatar, in Cairo. We did one project in Rome. It was like a really interesting experience because we worked on every scale of the design, from the design brief, up until into installation, and that's like a wide range of experience that not a lot of architects like have, because most architects, they are either doing schematic design or like project development or like site engineers. But like this was like a really really interesting experience that kind of opened my eyes on like the value of like knowing everything or being the jack of all trades, even if that means that there are things that you're gonna slip away from. I think it's kind of trade-off in a world that is like really forced into specialization, and that you need to be perfect into one thing, which is something that I'm kind of opposed to. In 2016, I kind of got bored of like doing museums, and I started doing my own furniture. So basically, using computational design, digital fabrication. I had a studio in Egypt. It was called Edge, but unfortunately, it died as quickly as it went to life. And after that, I traveled to the United States in 2018, and I joined a company. It's called Martin Bros, and they were responsible for the fabrication of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Arts in downtown Los Angeles. If you are based in Los Angeles, it's like in downtown next to the Coliseum in the USC. This project was one of the most interesting things that I think any architect would take part of, because basically we didn't do any design. We did only fabrication, and our responsibility was to design the or like not to design, but basically construct the building facade, or the structure system and installation of the panels on the building facade. And this is one of the most challenging projects uh, that probably anybody would work on, if I'm being honest. Our team was like about like at one point we were like 25 computational designers that were only dedicated to figure out how to build this thing. I can't talk a lot about the project because I'm under an NDA, but basically this project was a very great insight for me to learn what it takes to make a building. And that kind of changed my perception, not about construction, but actually about like the value, the aesthetics of architecture. Like what are we building? Why do we need to build? And these questions kept on haunting me up until like one night in 2022. I started using Midjourney. This was the alpha testing, during the alpha testing, and it wasn't out there for everybody, and not a lot of architects were basically using it. And I think like at that point I realized like there's a huge potential in that thing, um, not to not for the architecture practice, but actually for architecture philosophy. Like basically trying to, or basically where I came from is we have a lot of problems in the architectural world, and we kind of tend to kind of look over it for a lot of things. It's a very complicated practice, and it's really hard to pinpoint like what are the problems, and it's also much harder for anybody to kind of resolve that issue during their lifetime, because architecture is such a hard practice. And that actually, so AI kind of led me from a future from like being working in architecture and construction, and moved me into conceptual art and design. So I basically now do anything. I worked in music industry, film industries. I'm doing fine arts. I'm doing public speaking, doing workshops, and it's mainly because of AI, because how it allows me to be multidisciplinary, basically. Um, One thing that is I think like there's a misconception about AI is that like you need to know the secret of a good prompt, basically, and there is absolutely nothing with like secret to do a good prompt. And to basically to showcase that like this tool is really associated with technological advancement that is going much faster than an artist or architect will develop a certain process. So however the process that you're trying to develop was using AI, it will get obsolete within like 2 or 3 months. And that's something that humanity is not accustomed to. You are like most artists or architects, they take years and years to develop their own style, and then take years and years to kind of fine tune how they want to produce like their final artwork or maybe the final building. But that's not the case. Like if you see, like this is like a timeline for like the development of animations that I've been working on. So this is something that I worked on in 2022 in October, and this something I done in November 2023. So the gap here is probably 1 year. And this development, it's a mix between trying to develop my own process, but most importantly, it's because how the tools are being developed. So when I was producing that animation in October 2022, this was like the best that like Gen AI models can produce. This is the best quality, the best consistency, the best everything. And look how this kind of keeps on changing. And now it's even better. Now, like we have Sora, for example. So it's not only about like uh, how you write the prompt, but it's also like it's a whole collective thing about like how do you review technology, what do you want to do. So there's a lot of aspects. So this is like another example. So this is like the same prompt basically, but this is using a tool called dforum, and this is also dforum. This was done in 2022, this was done in 2023, this was done on a local computer. Basically, I don't know, like 64 bits of RAM and like a GPU, like it's an NVIDIA GPU, and it took like about, I don't know, 8 hours to render. And this was done on a Discord channel, and it took exactly 5 minutes. Same prompt. Of course, there are more controls here. This is like a little bit random, but again, you can see how the technology is kind of taking leaps in such a short time. And this is basically something that I need, that I'm trying to always like put forward to everybody that I'm talking to, or in any workshop or even like a formal talk. Everybody is really obsessed about prompt engineering. I think this is wrong. I think this is the wrong approach, because there are no structures for the prompts anymore. Prompts used to be very hard. Now it's very easy. So now it's, in my opinion, I'm trying to kind of change the term from prompt engineering to prompt art. And prompt art, it means that art means like there's an intangible input, there's a personal input. There's no structure. You With AI, it's pointless to just like go to a tutorial and just do it like step by step. That's meaningful neither for art, neither for you. It's not helping anybody. And you can see like everybody now is basically doing the same thing over and over and over again. You see like some idea or some prompt, and you try to copy it and try to move forward. This is makes everything like so kitsch. Basically, it's and it's because of our understanding of like our obsession. We need to engineer everything, we need to control everything. um so yeah, basically kind of try to showcase like my work before we start. I started like when I started Midjourney, I started like mixing between or basically that's what I got renowned for in the beginning, that mixing between architecture and other elements in so many different ways. But then I got more like interested in like, you know, integrating architecture into artistic concepts that are related to community, to society, to identity, or sometimes like basically making fun of things, or like trying to see a force of things that we think about, like that we think like they are very rigid, or like a very rigid in our understanding. Basically expressing, you know, like exploring like language, like in history, story AI as an alternative narrative, to instead of like let's rediscover the future, no, let's rediscover and reinterpret the past through many ways and many tools. Like mixing, not only mixing like now concepts, but actually mixing intangible ideologies that are related to identity, mixing a lot of styles basically. If you can see, like this is like, you know, architectural beings, like basically giving a depth into like the architectural um practice, just like not to think about architecture that this is like a solid building that we need to do, but actually no, we need like to express more and go beyond and test basically the limits of the AI, what the AI is capable to do. And this basically has no architectural application. Like I don't want to build like a smooth criminal Michael Jackson dancing building. That won't help anybody. But like again, like to see this architecture from a different perspective, it's kind of helping me to kind of judge the current architecture scene in a different way. So this is like, I'm kind of showing here like this is like a very complicated process for AI. So this is a project that I work with Marco Brambilla. I don't know if anybody like knows the artist, is like an amazing artist. And basically like we wanted to transform architecture being serious into like an Elvis thing. And like basically the process is that now you have the tool to kind of isolate the character, maybe delete it from the scene and replace it using AI, and then um, overlay this building, and while it's being mapped on like the Elvis movement, and then putting everything back again. But this is like something else. um, yeah, this is like some of the exhibitions that I've exhibited. So this was in Taipei in last year. um, this was like, again, you can conceptualize. This is always AI. So there was a person who was saying that like they wanted to be an architect or a designer, but he was saying that maybe AI will help them. Well, 100% it will help you. A lot of architecture concepts that are being developed right now on the internet are actually produced not by architects, and I think they are more interesting than the ones um, that the architects are being produced, because they have like this fresh new perspective. So even if they are not very architectural, it's still very interesting. And if you're good enough with it, maybe you'll make some kind of a breakthrough. Um, so this is like another application, basically connecting like Grasshopper with like this is like an animate diff, and then like printing the output as a 3D printer. So on a 3D printer. Uh, this is an interesting one for architects, basically. Sorry. So basically, this is a project that I did for a German company last year, and this was trained on actually a renderings for 4 bathrooms, and they wanted to create a morphic animation. So this actually, like, I trained my own custom model to get like an output, like a very refined and a very um, in like targeted output, instead of like being playing in the realm of like AI in general. You can pass through that. This is actually mixing between like patterns that I created in 2000 and why did it start to do? Oh, it's funny. It's now doing subtitles. Oh, sorry. Um, so yeah, this is like kind of combining like basically this is multimedia now. So now these are patterns that I created in Grasshopper 2018, and I did also some illustration stuff. So like this is like a combination between 2D, 3D, and then putting that into AI to kind of generate more informed shapes, or like facade that are based on like generative patterns. This is a project that I did in Dubai. So basically taking a facade from the 2D to do it in like a 3D. This is a hoarding board. This is under fabrication now. It's not final. Um, so yeah, that's kind of basically to kind of showcase like what the opportunities that you have with AI. You basically can do anything. And you can push it as much as you can go. These workshops will be really helpful for you, but these are not the final output. Like there's a lot of work that you need to do beyond the workshops that we're working, beyond the tutorials that you will see. There's like a personal endeavor that you need to undertake, and hopefully I'm kind of showcase like a glimpse on my process during that 2-3 hours that we have. So yeah, let me see. I think now we have 24. So probably this is everybody. I have a couple people offline, but I think it's fine. This is probably everybody. To start with, basically, we're gonna start with Midjourney. Just like quickly, if you haven't joined Midjourney before, if you don't know what is it that you need to do, you need to go to midjourney.com. Or let me do this. It should, let me do it like from incognito, because I want to show it to everybody. So if I go to Midjourney, midjourney.com. So the first thing is like you probably, if you have an account already, then you're set. If you don't, you go to join the beta. When you join the beta, it will ask you for like a Discord account. You should like set it up and everything. And then once you're all set, you will go here, or like basically, if you go like to Midjourney, now you will have this Midjourney a tab on the left, and then you'll have all these service channels. Now, if you haven't subscribed to a plan yet, so if you're still using that for free, you can only generate images in one of these newbies, like general image generation. So like basically you will see servers like that, and then you can go imagine, and then let's say put a building, for example. So like these servers are not private, so everybody can see what you do, and you can see what everybody is doing. If this is the first time that you use Midjourney during the workshop, it's really insightful to look at what everybody is generating, because it will give you like some glimpse of like what's the output, but what the prompt that they have used, and then you can go take that prompt and try to play around with as just like as a beginning exercise. However, if you have subscribed already to the plan, to a plan in Midjourney, you don't need to subscribe more than to $10. To show you how to do this, you go to your account here, manage subscriptions, and you can see like there are several plans here. You have 10, 30, 60, and 120. You definitely don't need the 120 unless you are a mega company and you're producing like, I don't know, like like 100 or 1,000 images a day. Mine is like the $60 per month is just more than enough. If you're still trying to make your mind about it, I recommend that you only subscribe to the basic plan. This plan will only cover you for like limited generations of 200 computational minutes. That means that the time that it takes the bot to generate the image, we'll understand what's that later. And it basically give you like the access to the gallery and what forth. If you are on like the 60 bro plan, now you have like a 30 hours of fast generation, but you can create as much images as you want. Once you run out of the 30 hours of the fast generations, you can create as many images as you want. Nobody would care, but it will be just slow. You also have the stealth image generation, meaning that nobody will be able to see your images except you and like the developers of Midjourney. um anyway, like, yeah, if you're a pro, then I recommend this, but like to start, you can start with the $10. The final thing before we start our workshops, if you manage to subscribe, there is one good perk out of it, which is now if you go to the Midjourney bot and go right click and then message, now you will have it in your DMs, in your private messaging. That allows you to basically create the images on your own, and you'll only be the only one to see it. It won't get confused with other users trying to create images and so forth. So like that's why I recommend like being like doing a subscription, because you have like this private canvas that you can just play around. For this workshop, we will work here. Well, at least I'll start working here. We have in the surface something that's called the prompt gen, where I can go here, basically do that imagine, and that's how we start our prompt, and then we say building facade, for example. So, and then enter. Um, just want to make sure. Does anybody has any question? If you obviously, oh yeah, if you have questions, it's better if to ask him here in this channel, because I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with like the Zoom or the general. So let's keep our questions here. So I'll give like a minute if anybody has questions so far. CD printed something visualized. Are the images that you sell it that create able to be volumetric? No. It was generated from Grasshopper. There are ways that it could be volumetric using different tools, but this is a different process, and also it depends on a lot of things. So there's a tool like I don't remember the name of it. I tried it like a couple of times. It generates 3D from images, but the image need to be very, very specific. So like a vase or a sofa that is like very, very traditional, and also like the quality of the mesh, it's not great. I didn't try to test AI to 3D printing, but the output that I created was basically like having a shape in Grasshopper, then do it in AI, and then deciding on a shape on AI that I liked, then went back to the grasshopper, and then like, yeah, I want like the shape on frame number whatever, like frame number 100, and then I took that frame, like that frame, basically seeing like the 3D geometry during that frame, and then I printed that. Um, Yeah, it's we're not there yet, basically. We're not at a point where we can translate AI to 3D. There are a lot of people are creating assets using AI, 3D assets, but not designs. The difference is asset is like if you are working on a scene and you want to basically like create like a background, I don't know, old radio. So yeah, you can generate the image or you can generate the 3D. There's also Luma, I think, or Loom AI. Yeah. I think they're here. Yeah. So there's like, we're not gonna talk about this, but there's like it's Luma AI. You can actually generate text to 3D. So now you have like, you can create like a shoe bed, whatever that you can create. So these are all 3D geometry that you can then translate and download. But I have to say these are very, very basic. So they're not helping me as a designer, but it could help you as a creative, basically. Um, okay, so yeah, now let's move forward. So, oh, somebody upscaled it already? Yeah, okay. So like you can see, like if I put like a very simple prompt here, it will be a building facade. 1 second, I need to open something here on my screen. Just give me 1 second. I'm bringing my cheat sheet. Okay. So while as I'm working here in the prompt jam, please like don't work here just yet. If you want to follow along, please follow in your DM messages or on your general uh, channels here. Just like to keep like the flow of the curriculum, so anybody can everybody see like the process that I'm about to take. Um, just like to dive along again, like I was saying, my first workshop in 2022, there was a different structure for how you prompt things, and there was a big process to how to get a good image. But now it's actually this process has like changed drastically. So now all I can say, I want like an interior of a living room, basically. And this happens because if you go to settings here, so there's a slash in settings. So these are all like the controls that you have in Midjourney. This is basically how you set your styles, how you set like, but let's not talk about styles before. First of all, you have like different models of Midjourney. So this is like Midjourney 1. This was the first one that was released earlier in 2022. This is the first model that I used, which is like Skull V2. Um, there are major differences in these models, from everything starting from the quality of the image to the way that you prompt, to basically fundamental changes. One thing that doesn't change is that it's basically text to image. There are also some tools that are available in some models but not on the others. But for now, all that you need to learn really just for the starter workshop is that you're working on the V6. V6 has a lot of like ups and downs, but basically it's what everybody is using, and it's just like the most powerful one up until now. It's fast, it's super realistic if you want it to be, and the data set is much better. By the data set, I mean that you can generate more concepts with it than the older version. So like basically, if you want to create something that's related to ancient Egypt, for example, it will be really hard to create it in older models like V2 and V1, but like in V6 now, and it's much easier. It has a better understanding of culture. It's not perfect. Sometimes it's racist, meaning that like sometimes it just doesn't make sense of like what you're trying to create, because it's not racist, but it's basically doesn't have, it's biased. Let's put it this way. Um, and um, and yeah, so basically all what you need to create with is like you need the V6. There are different like row mode, or like a row mode means like the work that you'll create will be more raw or sharper. It will have more of the AI input into it. It will have be more sharp and intuitive. We can try this later, but I don't want to delve about this. And also we'll talk about all these later on. One thing that you better want to start with is like these. You have like a turbo mode, a fast mode, and a relax mode. So yeah, I don't think you can use a relax mode in the generation of, if you're like not subscribed to anything, if you don't have a subscription, you can't use the relax mode. The fast mode means that the generations will be faster. The turbo mode, the generation will be immediate. So think about these as that like a ways that fast mode will give you like not a fast result, but it will be cheaper in the time that you're consuming. So like you can create much more images with the fast mode than the turbo mode, but the turbo mode is much faster. So basically, it's a battle between time and money. Think about it that way. You want things fast, or you want things like, or you want a lot of things. Okay. So now back to the prompt that we were putting. So like now it's an interior of a living room, and now you have that. Sometimes you can see like they are all like very, very realistic, but sometimes it gives you like a stylistic style of a living room. So also you can do, instead of that, you can also do a photograph of a living room, basically. And then you can also like try to add some style. So you can see like these images, sometimes it will be classical, sometimes like they will be modern. So now you can see like a photograph of an art, no, the, I always get it wrong. Yeah, I always get it wrong.
I think it's NEU.
Yeah. I'll yeah, that's, well, it's like the good thing about that, it's like the one thing that's helping me with Midjourney is, as English is my second language, is that it's actually a little bit forgiving, but I always try to kind of make sure that my vocabulary is right. As so like photography and art nouveau, living room, just like to make like more direction to the results that we are getting. Now you can see like a photography of a living room. Now like there are like styles of photography. So now there's like an artistic part of an aspect part. So like if you're a photographer, so now you can actually play with your photography terms and input it. But now like no is an art nouveau. Now like you are directing this into like a certain style. It's in also like, so if we get this and do that, and like let's say photography of small, like a modern living room. So like the key thing, like maybe if you are like if you've been doing AI before, you will see that like it's a little bit boring. But like in my views, I think the best way to achieve a result is that you start by adding layers to your prompt, not just like to get started right away and try to get everything right from the first prompt. No, that's not how you want to put it. The way that you want to put it is that you put some structure to it. So basically, like a living room, and then you have a photograph of a modern living room. Now, maybe you want to add more styling to it. So um, you want to do this. Oh, sorry. Let's me copy here. You want to do like, now you can try to say a photograph of a postmodern living room. Now you want to add like this as a center composition and symmetrical, and you want it in a daytime. You don't want to get any nighttime results, basically. Let's remove the natural lighting. Doesn't add anything, and put that. And while we're calculating that, we can also try to enforce more style to it. So we can go here, and instead like a modern living room, maybe you can add a designer, Liza Hadid, for example, and then daytime, and then enter. And now you can see now it's kind of started to add like a subsymmetry. There is a lot of variation that's going on around here, which is, in my opinion, that's great for a start to define like what you really want. But now when you add the Zahadid and symmetrical, now you get like the influence of like, yeah, now we're getting um, a more defined style to what we want to do. But we can always add more to that. So like we can take exactly the same thing, and you can see like, because it's Saha, so it's very white, we can also add like a colorful living room, for example, and then enter. Um, let's wait to see. So now you can see now things are like kind of starting like to pop up, and now like we're starting to do like these kind of mixes between, you know, Zaha and colors, which usually it doesn't go well, or doesn't go along very much. And then we can also try to do the same thing, but instead of color, maybe we can add a material. So we can add like that. It's made of a brick masonry, red brick masonry. So like adding made from bricks, and we do enter. You can see there's a bunch of like, you know, things that are going here right now, but yeah, we will go and revisit them like in a minute. So You can see how this, like, if you have never used Midjourney before, you can see like how quickly this thing kind of turning around. Like we started with a living room, and within like 3 or 4 minutes, now we are creating like an entire interior. Like, yeah, maybe we can also play around with like the space itself. So let's say we want to create, instead of a living room, let's say a building, let's say a hospital, for example. I've never tried this one before, but this should be interesting. We have questions here. How did you get the drop the menu of V6? So you get that by, if you go here. Oh, that's not very Zahadid. It's, yeah, this kind of got weird here. Okay, I'll revisit that. So now if you want to go to V6, you can go here and you have the info and press in, oh, sorry, it's called settings, and then enter. And when you get the info, you can have like this drop down from here. Okay, another question. Yeah, oh, Mauricio actually answered, thank you. Is there a limit to the amount of details you can apply? I'm not sure, what do you mean by that? You can talk here in the camera if you want to. Joy. Oh.
Yes, I'm switching between screens. I mean, in the prompt, like, could I just go, I want a lamp at 45 degrees over here. I want this kind of painting. I want these tall ceilings, like just the absolute level of detail that you would typically do in like when you're doing the drawing in CAD or whatever you're using. I mean, I just wondered like what's the limitation? Because everything so far, I've done this kind of stuff before, but it feels still like very two-dimensional, even though we're looking into something that has a depth of field. So I was just curious about that part.
We can have more controls. We'll talk about this later as we
Okay.
go on. You'll see how like much control. You can be very, very specific. Yeah, or maybe you can, but it won't be like very controllable, in my opinion. Um, the way also, like, there's a lot of directions that you can go with the AI. Why are you using AI? Basically, are you using it to do a visualization, or are you using it to create something that's new? In my opinion, sometimes if I'm doing like a certain design that's in my head that I know that I want to create, like if I want to place a lamp at a certain position, if I want to do a table at a certain like angle or a degree, I actually better off like trying to do it in a 3D rendering, or maybe do it like in a different software entirely. The beauty with Midjourney is that sometimes it's like it gives you surprises, and the details that I'm adding, or like the as we go during the workshop, and you'll see like basically how is my process. It's a mix between like control, but mostly like letting go of control and just like trying to be very fluid with it. But to answer your question, you will see how much layers that you can add, or like basically my process to adding layers and having more control. And yeah, see if you can work with it. What's the difference between V6 and the V6 alpha? It's just a newer model. So the V6 alpha is just like a newer model. Every time that you change a model, a lot of things will change. So you get different results. I'm basically kind of showing you one model here, but then you can actually just use the same prompt and do like different models, and you can see for yourself. Love to be able to input images. Yeah, we'll see if we can input images and mesh that, but we'll talk about this in a minute. I'm not gonna ng version. Very curious of different versions. Unfortunately, we're not covering the ng version because it's not architectural, so we're not covering that today. Okay. Please explain about the movement in prompt. What do you mean by movement in the prompt? I'm not sure. What do you mean? I think this is an A, right? What do you mean by that? Okay, yeah. So we'll talk about like runway, and we'll talk about runway at the end of the session. So so guys, just like to keep you kind of like to keep this like flowing. When I ask you to say questions, I'm asking about if you have questions up so far. So if you have general questions about the workshop, about what we're gonna do in the future, or like basically if you have like aspirations from the workshop, we'll probably have space for that at the end of the workshop. But right now, I'm not sure. Like we have some beginners in the workshop. We have architects, we have non-architects, and everybody kind of catching up at a different pace. So Just like if you have questions right now, basically I'm trying to please like limit your questions up to what was been this like talked about for that point, and then probably your questions will be answered like in a minute or two, or basically during the next 2 hours. So yeah, let's move forward. So now you can see here like I feel like a hurdle now, like it's not looking like Zahadi. This is like not working best for me. So I want to do this. So just want to know why it's not working. So basically I'll do imagine, and then I'll go ahead and then I'll remove like this machinery just to make sure that the hospital goes well with Zahadid. If you are generating too, you will notice that like the turbo is like very, very fast. Okay, so that's not a problem with it's actually making a sharp images of like a sharp geometry of Zahadid. This is like looks like an older Zahadid stuff, which is interesting. So maybe I can control that more if I go here and say imagine, and they like let's say put like an organic shape, and let's say flow, something like that. Okay, so now we're getting like, now we're getting like more Zahadid like shapes, but it's like in a hospital environment, which is kind of pretty cool. So, uh, so now we're still speaking like, like we're still on this like high level of like how Midjourney operates, how it understands shapes, how I can talk with it, how like I can test it for like what it brings to me, what it like how I can make the best out of it. So one of the very useful tool to make you test Midjourney, it's called a pre-mutation. So let's get this prompt. Basically, let me copy it from here. Basically, let's go back to our Zahadi prompt was like the machinery because it was working great. Let's go here. And now this is like, now I'm testing a style, a living room that is made in the style of Zahadid. But actually what I can do is that like, I can open a bracket and then I put here Zahadid, and then I can put another architect like Norman Foster, and then I can put another architect like Anthony Gaudi, for example. And then enter. So the process that I did here, it was called like a pre-mutation. If I hit enter now, it will start asking me like, are you sure that you want to generate certain prompts? If I show the prompts here, the pre-mutation is like a way that I can automate how I'm creating prompts. So if I have a prompt and I just want to replicate it like a fewer times, but I just want to change something in the prompt, but everything else I want to keep. So I want to keep like the living room, I want to keep like the rhetoric, and I want to keep like the image output versus like a center composition and like the daytime. But I just want to change the architect. So when I put them in these the brackets, what it ended up doing, it generated 3 prompts with everything exactly the same, but it only changed the architect. And if I said yes, and if I say yes, now it starts to execute the 3 prompts. And now I can see like, and now I can start like to compare styles. So now like you can see like it's a Norman Foster here. You see like it's very like modern, very strict. It's like very modern Norman Foster style. Anthony Gaudi will start to have these vault shapes, like it's more of his style, a little bit of like early Art Nouveau Islamic influence style. Zaha Hadid, you have like these crazy arches that's kind of moving around, which is pretty cool. And then you can get like, to decide like what you can do with it, really. So now, like as we do this while we're at it, we can try to go here, imagine. Oh, one thing that I didn't cover was like, like go to settings. If there's like a slash in settings. Oh, sorry, not settings, info. So like the info panel here is like is you cannot really generate anything with it, but it's a great way to tell you like basically how much you're doing on your time. So you don't want to consume all your time, you know, like just like generating images, because this could become a drag, and you can just like, you know, do it all over and over again, and then you just like lose your hours. So here is great because now there's like a fast time, like there's like the time that you have. So the time that I in the plan that I have is 30 hours, and I'm still having like 27 hours left, and that's because I just renewed my I did my monthly renewal yesterday. It can say here how many images I have generated. Basically this is using the fast hours, and this is like doing the turbo, which is like the fast hours, and this is like the relaxed. For everybody it will be a different thing, but this is like a good thing like to kind of keep watch for. Does doing multiple prompts slow down the rendered time for each one? No, it doesn't. It adds, it doesn't matter, like the bot will just like work because this is on the cloud, so it's not doing any personal local time from your computer. No, it won't affect. You can generate 10,000 images at the same time if you have enough time, but again, sometimes it's very distractive. I do this all the time, so I generate multiple images. I sometimes have like multiple Discord tabs, like maybe 4 or 5, and I generate like 10 or 20 images at the same time, and I'll show you how you can generate a lot of variations. But this is one thing. First of all, it's distracting if you're not in control, if you're not really careful or focused on want to watch out what you do. And also, like sometimes it could be very consuming, because like when I started, I wasted a lot of money because I was generating a lot of images. You know, it's like this like a newbie mistake that you keep on generating and generating, thinking that like it's infinite. No, it's not. So it's a resource. So it's better to always think about it from that perspective. Can you repeat this part? What do you mean by can? I'm sorry, which part? If you have a question now, you can, while I'm asking questions, you can come and like ask on the Zoom meeting or the camera, just
Oh
not
yeah,
just yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
How did you know the left time that you have to generate?
Okay, that's so yeah. So if you go here, um, for the prompt jam, yeah. So you go here and info. And that's like, you know, it will tell you like past time remaining, and that's like how many hours am I left. By the hours, again, like just like to clear that out, it doesn't mean that I have 25, 27 like day hours, like human hours. No, this is like a computation hours. And you can, it's meaning that like if I'm creating like say 10 images at the same time, and each one it's taking like 10 seconds, so that means like it was within like this 10 seconds I consumed like 100 seconds, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I got it. Thank you.
okay, cool. I'm using V6 Alpha directly from Midjourney website, not through Discord. Will the quality of the export will be the same? Yes, it will be the same. That doesn't matter. So yeah, if you can also not work on Discord, you can do it if you are on Midjourney. So if you have a subscription, you can go here and you just imagine, and you can say building facade. You don't have to do this on Discord if you don't want to, and then you will have like to create, and you can see like even if I created on Discord, the images will always be saved in the archive, so you can see all these images, the ones that I've created on the website. We'll go through the gallery later on, not right now, but yeah, you can just go generate here. It will be exactly the same result. It will be exactly the same input. The problem is that you won't have the images on your Midjourney Discord if you're working on it. Basically, it will only exist here in your archive. Maybe that works for personally. I like to keep everything on my Discord, but basically because I've been doing this for 2 years, so from an organizational point of view, it's sufficient or it's efficient. It's better for me to work on Discord than to work here on the Midjourney canvas. But yeah, if you want to work here directly, you can do it, and you'll have the images and everything. Can you choose the mode turbo versus relaxed? Does it automatically use the turbo? No, it doesn't. You can choose it. That's a good question. So if you go here to the prompt jam, there are two ways to change the way, or like the input, the way that you like the images, like to toggle between fast and relax and turbo. So the first one is go to settings. I should have sorted by that actually. So now if it's green, that means like it's in turbo mode. Probably when you start it will be on a fast mode, so you can go and change it from here, or maybe in a relaxed mode. I'm doing the turbo. I don't usually use the turbo mode. I'm only using it because I wanna be fast in explaining like the workshop and I want like immediate results. So I recommend everybody to start using the fast mode. But also, if somebody is typing here, can you please type your questions in the chat channel, not here. Sorry, Laura. Just like to keep everything like kind of organized. And the second way that you want to toggle between different modes is that you can just go here and you can say turbo, and now it will be automatically turned to turbo, or you can go and type slash and then type fast, or you can just go slash and type relax, basically. And that's now will set you to whatever mode that you are in. But to know which mode that you are in, that you are working on, excuse me, that you're working with, is you wanna use this these settings mode. So now I wanna go back to turbo just to make sure. Okay. When prompting, you usually use the keyword comma in between. I wonder in order of a keyword affected a hierarchy of the influence of the images. That is a universal question that I don't think I have an answer to. So some people don't use commas. Some people use commas. The way that the way that you prompt is affecting your eventual results, basically, but not in a way that I can personally track. I know that if you want priority to something in your prompt, you want to put it at the beginning. You don't want to like throw a lot of information at the end and expect it to behave the same way. Sometimes we will talk about this in a minute, but that's basically my point of like prompt engineering. I personally, again, that's my opinion. I don't think that there is a way that we understand how this thing works. We just don't know. Like what I'm showing to you is a process that I'm kind of comfortable with, basically, and something that is kind of makes me achieve what I want to create in a way that is mixing between like personal input, but also like waiting for like some creative output from the machine. This is like the way that I do prompts is a mix between like, if you can go here, this is basically not a prompt. I don't like to think about this as a prompt engineering process, but actually like as a way of how I understand this tool is working with. And that's a way to kind of organize my thoughts with. So like through many different trials over the past 2 years, like through like I don't know, like the 60,000 images that I generated in Midjourney, and like another 100,000 images that I generated in Stable Diffusion, and other prompts that I use different things with, I have come to a structure that kind of works for me. That doesn't necessarily it will work for everybody. Basically, if you take this prompt, copy paste it and put it like in your like DM, or like in your Midjourney bot, you'll probably get like a similar result. If you remove the commas, you probably get the same results, or more or less. The commas are more like a direction to me to understand like my process. Some people say that the commas have effect. Some people say it doesn't have any effect because it doesn't, like AI doesn't understand things the same way that we do. It's a very predictive model, so commas doesn't really have a coding value, if that makes sense. So it's not a syntax, it's a human language. Think about it this way. The only syntax that is in Midjourney, we will talk about it in a minute. Like, for example, to do a pre-mutation, so now that's a syntax. That's something that is engineered. That's something that you know what the results that you're getting into. If you added brackets here, you will get 3 results, basically. So now it's more of a coding. But other than that, it's not coding. And I think that's one of the problems that I was talking about. Using generative AI is, although like it's a code, we don't talk to it as if it's a code. Doing it in a coding manner, we're better off coding in a way. And everybody's now trying to really eliminate this coding part of like, we need to talk to a machine. When I'm doing this, I'm not talking to machines. So like, I don't know how to talk to it, if that makes sense. And even if I do, even if I have a structure, it will change in about 1 or 2 months when there's a new model comes along. So that's a very, very long answer for like a very, very short question, for a very simple answer, which is I really don't know.
That's very satisfying. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, yes. Okay. You can switch between then typing, setting, and making selections. Okay, that looks like a question. So if you use Discord as opposed to Midjourney website, it keeps everything that you've ever created. Everything that you ever create, whether in Midjourney, or whether in Discord or the Midjourney website, it's always saved in the Midjourney archive. Everything that you've created is saved here. So if you go to archive, maybe I'll go through this now. So it has basically everything that I created. It will be really hard to go to the bottom of it. But like, for example, if I'm going to stuff that I created in V3, for example, it will load like it take a minute. So basically, but yeah, this is a recent one. I wanna something that is old. That's so grids. Well, by old I mean like 1 or 2 years, but yeah, it feels like it's a lifetime. So yeah, these like the good old days. So for example, now we're in 2022. So all these images, if you go here, this is an image like that made in V3. You can see like the prompt, it was like a pretty complicated at that point. The results were not great. And also one of the things here, it gives you everything that you use. We'll talk about these values later. But if you go to like here, if I say like open in Discord, what it will do, it will get me to the time or like the conversation or like the thread in the time that I was creating it, and I can take like the prompt from that point.
So yeah, I'm not totally getting the difference between the two. Why you choose Discord over the website? Or is it the website?
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's like, let's say it's kind of out of habit, because like creating images on the Midjourney website was something that's recent. It probably started like 2 months or 3 months ago. And for me to like have everything I can go back and create it on Discord it's more convenient for me, but you can do it however you like it.
And would I be able to look at your archiving as you were scrolling through? Is it looked amazing?
No, not mine. You can't look at mine because like on the pro plan, I'm going through like what you call a stealth mode. So like you can't really see my images, but you can go to, if you go to explore, I think you can search by prompt. So if I say Zaha Hadid, for example, so now these are all the images that are not in the stealth mode that was created by other users that are using the same prompt, which is Zaha Hadid. So like if you go here, you can see like a wooden model of building Zaha Hadid style, for example. And you can go here and you can go like to this user, and then you can see everything that they have created.
If that's public. Okay, got it.
Does that make sense?
You might cover this at some point, but is there a way to like kind of fork an image? If there's something that you see in that sort of Zaha Hadid area where like, oh, I want to go off of that one, or is it really just more
You mean like, you mean like take the image and then like build on it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or use that as a point of departure.
We'll talk about that in a way, like not the way that you think, but we will talk about that like later in the workshop. No, yeah. It's a good question. Okay, do we have another question? I think you said you'll be covering them, but would be great to see how you choose style, variation, or remix. Well, yeah, we'll cover like all these things like as we move forward. Okay, so now like questions. Also like if anybody is kind of feeling like that they are out of pace for this workshop, if you think like I'm moving too fast or moving too slow, just kind of point out. But again, all the questions, everything that anybody has asked here, like for the very remix variation, we'll cover that in a minute. But I just want to make sure that everybody's like working on the same pace. So if anybody's kind of not comfortable with the pace, just holler and we'll adjust. These workshops are always dynamic and always unpredictable. Okay, so let's go to Discord. and go to the prompt resource, and then let me go back to my cheat sheet here. Okay. So now let's start to create like a more, you know, like something that is a little bit more interesting. That's kind of more, but this is like interesting from my point of view, like more of like, you know, my style. So let's try this prompt here. So now like basically what I'm indicating, so this is like a new kind of way of a more detailed, not like to the specific details that Jinjoy was asking about, but this is like now we're adding like more defined description of what we're creating. One of the prompts that I like to use in the interior is like a editorial self photograph or like photo. And this is like a maximalist grand home office in Art Nouveau style, made entirely from colorful bird's feathers. Designed by Anthony Gaudi and Thomas Heatherwick. So this is kind of mix between, you know, something that's old and something that's new, or like basically like two styles, but that for me they go along just fine. And then a center composition, and then I hit enter. Now we can start to add some syntax to our work. To add some syntax, you can only add like, you know, 2 dashes, and then the first syntax that we'll learn, or like the command that we'll learn, is called the AR, which stands for aspect ratio. And basically here you put a proportion to the image. So do you want a portrait or a landscape? So so right now you can see like the images that are being created are 1 by 1, but now we can create something like a 3 by 4. And we can also try something like, so this is like a portrait, and we can do something like 9 to 16 and see how that will impact our image. Now you can see here, this is like, now we are getting to a more detailed, more refined version of our creation. That is also that's kind of mixing between, that's basically more my style. It's mixing between something that is refined, but also something that is weird, or like something that is obscure. And yeah, and you can see like by changing the aspect ratio, the image kind of changes too. So it's like you have a lot of options here. And whenever you change the aspect ratio, this looks like pretty cool. It also will be cool if I also inverted that here. So if I go here, 16 to 9, press enter. This is also something that is like about prompt engineering. So like I like, as a designers, as architects, we don't think about like, you know, the aspect ratio in our design. We actually have the aspect ratio beforehand, you know, like the size of the building, like, you know, like doing the schematic, you know, that you have a living room that is a standard width and a standard height, and now you have like this volume that you kind of reshape and work into. Basically, I'm talking from an interior design perspective, but not from architectural perspective. As an interior designer, you already have this kind of space a little bit, but like there wasn't a tool before that actually, when you change the aspect ratio, it changes the design entirely, which is something that I kind of, for me, that's kind of really, really interesting. And it's like, you know, it has like some, there's like a richness to it. So now I think I'm getting like really interesting results here, but I want to create more variations. So basically, yeah, now I have like basically 4 variations here. What if I like a certain one? Let's say I like, they're just too very, maybe I don't like any of these. I want more variation. So basically what I can do is that I can just like copy paste the prompt. And now you have something like 2 dashes. There's another like command that's called repeat. So by, let's say 5. So what the repeat does is that it will create 5 variations at the same time. So now you have always like these 4 variations, and now you create this prompt 5 times. So now instead of only having 4, you will have 20. And it's because it's turbo mode, it will be super fast too. So we can kind of pick and choose between them like really quickly. One of the things also like that you want to like to discover more, how, or basically let me tell you how I perceive AI. I don't perceive generative AI, I perceive generative AI, or what they call the latent space, as a space that's already existing, and it has like a lot of there's a lot of possibilities there. It's already there. So whatever that you are about to create in generative AI, it's not new. It's already there. It's your mission to kind of try to go and find it, because mathematically there are a certain type of basically like data that these models are being trained on, and there are like an infinite combinations of words that can make these like data set kind of work together. So if there was somebody who like basically another AI, maybe they can't do this right now, but they can mathematically give you all the possibilities of all the images of all the combinations. Basically, you are trying to find something that is already there. So for me, that's like what makes generative AI interesting. I'm not really trying to create something that I have in my head or like that I'm thinking about. I'm trying to find something that's there, and to find it, you have two ways. First of all, you have the prompt, and second of all, you have like the possibilities of that prompt, like the output of that prompt. And to go through the possibilities of that prompt, you have different tools. First of all, you have the variation. So let's say there's an image that I like right here. Let's say I like this image, or that's a creation board. This is actually like a fun part where it's like, again, that's not engineered. I have variations. At any point, I can choose any one of the 20. If you were in my place, you can pick another one and then start working on that. It won't be the same thing. And that's where like that's your input. There's like a curatorial input in creation and catering for what you want to create to move forward, basically. So let's say I like this one. So here I press V4. For people who never doesn't know what that is, the V stands for variation. And when I press V4, what it will do is that it will get me more variations of only that output. So it will ignore these three images and it will only do that, like two variations of that image. So basically kind of moving forward with that variation. Basically, it won't be exactly the same, but it will be almost the same color palette. You can see like now the color palette is kind of similar. You can see the composition has like some kind of similarity, at least like at three portion. Now you can see like there's like two walls here, here, and here. Now, but this is like started to go like into three walls basically composition. And there's also a way to control the variation. So if I go to settings here, you can see there are here you can see there are two options. One is called high variation mode and the other is called low variation mode. Right now I was on the high variation mode, but if I go here to low variation mode and then I go back to the image that I created a variation of, which was that, and then I do it again, now the new variation will be similar. Like you can see now, like these four images are more similar to each other. So now you have like a more control over the environment. Now you can just like, yeah, I want to keep that atmosphere. I don't want to lose it. So that's like one way of control. But I always like the high variation. I personally like almost always use the high variation because I'm not really specific on the details. I'm more specific on the general output or the atmosphere. And then if I wanted to add details later, I'll be able to do that at different points. So for now, I'm keeping on like a high variation mode. Also, one thing about control, I think, like ideologically speaking or philosophically speaking, I think you get control. Like starting with Gen AI was like the idea that I want to control it. I want to get an exact output out of it. For me, it's like you're losing a lot of the potentials of generative AI because generative AI is not designed to create something that, for me, like, or it is like there are two directions again. Like maybe I'm repeating myself here, but like there is a way that you want to use AI to create something that's already in your head basically, and that will be great if you don't know any other tools. That will be great if this is like or maybe it will be great to help you with like architectural visualizations, for example. You just want to create renderings. You want to create something that you can build right now. But for me, like generative AI is like it's generative, right? It's like it's creating something that is new. So what I'm trying to do, or basically like in my work, I always try to push the boundaries of what I can get out of it, and trying to keep my control as least as possible, just like to get something that I didn't anticipate. Like again, like I said, if I want to create a rendering for a building, I can just do it in Rhino or like 3ds Max. I've done this for about 12 years. It's not interesting for me to do this now with generative AI. But sometimes you have to control, of course, and this is like one form of control that we can use. So let me go back here to my cheat sheet. So now, like, now we understood the variation. If let's say if I like one image from here, so let's say if I like this one, I can just go here and then upscale it. By upscaling, I mean like, yeah, now this image is like, we have it and it's ready. And once it is generated here, you can go to your Midjourney account on the website. If you go to archive, now I need just like to remove this and these filters. I need to refresh. And now you can see like if I only like put like a tick here on the upscales, these are the images that I have upscaled. And now you have this image here that you can download. You can also download it from Discord, so you can just go right here and then like save image or copy image or whatever that you want to do with it. You can also scale it further. So like I'm not sure like about the resolution of the output image, but you can also scale it further by like you have two options. So like this one is called upscale subtle, this is called upscale creative. We'll upscale both of them and then see what are the differences, and we'll cover these in a minute. While they are being upscaled, does anybody have any questions?
So let's say there's something in that image. I mean, you really like the image, but there's something that you don't like. For example, the computer, the Apple on the desk.
You can
There's
remove it.
no
you can't.
way to do anything about that, right? Because
No, you can.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah. I'll cover that like the end. Yeah.
What's the resolution of the images that you download that are upscaled?
Yeah, that's something that we will upscale them anyway, so I don't really care about the resolution, but let's download this and see which one. Yeah, let's go here, save the image. Okay, save, and then let me pull it up. Downloads, so properties. So right now this image is like 1456 by 816, but the ones here like the upscaled, let's like download this one. I'm not sure. I don't think there's a way that you can access the metadata from Discord. You have to download it and then you have to check it for yourself. But this one is like 2912 by 1632. These dimensions will almost change every time, not only like with aspect ratio, but Gen AI doesn't work with a specific output resolution. Basically, sometimes it needs to kind of move a little bit the pixels around to just get like a confirmed image, if that makes sense. That's basically for Midjourney. Stable Diffusion is different. But for Midjourney, yeah, these will vary based on like your aspect ratio, the content, and almost everything. Yeah. Any more questions?
So what's the difference between these? It takes some creative liberties in the upscaling, is that right? Because the carpet.
Yeah, that's basically like that's basically what you want to see. So we have like this one here. So basically that's like the upscale. Sorry, that's like the first upscale, and this is the other upscale. Oh, you're talking about like the oh, hold on. You can see like this is the difference between upscale. So like the images are a little bit more sharper in the upscale. So this is like the original one, and this is the upscale. This is the this is the one that is, you can see it here. This is the subtle, and this is the creative. So if I want to save the image here, I want to say like this is the creative. And I want to also add the subtle. Yeah. So this is the subtle, and this is the creative. So this is like like, I don't know, sometimes it's a compromise or a battle of how you want to upscale. So you can see here, so this is the subtle. The subtle tried to maintain the original images, the original details in the image as much as it could. The creative one, it started to act like kind of random to try to predict a better outcome regardless like what was like originally in the image. So you can see like there's our major differences between the images, although the base was exactly one. So you can see here, because it's creative, it predicted that there's a lamp post here, or like there's a lamp, an office lamp here. But so it just created one and neglected the pixels. So basically the creative style is a more predictive one, and like the subtle is a more deterministic, if that makes sense. When to use these is, again, this is, I don't know, we will talk about this like when we go to upscaling with Magnific AI, because I never used like the upscaling in Midjourney. And I'll go, you probably know why. Excuse me, once I go to Magnific. So okay, here, let's go there, let's go back to where we are. One of the things that, if you want to explore like the variation of how many variations that you want to create, there's also there are two tools that enables you to kind of explore more with your images or your ideas. The first one is called stylize, and you just like, it's a shortcut. The shortcut is like dash and S. And for here, I'll do a pre-mutation. So I'll do like a 0, and I'll do like 100, and I'll do like a 500, and I'll do like 1,000. And I also want to add another value, which is like 350. So to think about it, like the stylizing is a number that you input between 0 and 1,000. It doesn't matter which number, but it has like a great impact on the output image. Think about this in, if anybody works at Stable Diffusion, this is similar to the CFG scale. If you are putting like a 0 input in the stylizing, that means that you want the AI, or like you want the bot, to stay true to your prompt as much as it could. You don't want like any creative input out of it. While the value of 1,000, that's the other end of the spectrum. You're telling the bot that, yeah, you can go crazy. I don't care about the prompt, just go crazy and be creative. And basically, if you put like 100 is like the default value. Is the default value, and it's closer. It will try to be a little bit creative, but it will stay true to your prompt. If you put like a 900, it will start to be creative and crazy again. So if you can see here, so this is the value of 500, which is actually like, you can see like when you added the stylizing, the details are more sharper, although like maybe it's not like really close to the prompt, and you see like a lot of variations. So now you have like this like organic shaped designed office, basically desk. This is like a very classical one. 350 is kind of mix. You can see like it's in a way more true to Anthony Gaudi details here, and probably here. There's also a lot of variation. 1,000, it's like, sometimes it's actually like neglecting feathers once and for all. So like there are no feathers in here. And this is the default value, which is the one that we were working with. And this is like a 0 value. So basically it's taking an office and it just like putting feathers, and you can see like it's literally putting birds, because that's like its association was like bird feathers. It's like literally put a bird there. It's trying to follow your prompt. So I never used this styling value of 0. My comfortable zone personally is something that is between, sometimes I use it like at 190 and like 500 depending on the prompt. For this exercise, I think 500 is good. It's still generating the 350. There's probably needs a couple of minutes. So, but I'll probably start with that anyway. So like, yeah, let's say like 350 is like a good value. I like that value. And now let's say I want to try to explore that a little bit. So I want to go and repeat that for about like, say, let's say 5 times. And there is also an interesting command that it's called chaos. But instead of like, right, you don't have to write the full word. You can just go here and say C. And for this also to demonstrate this, we'll also use a pre-mutation. So we'll say like 0 and say 10 and say 15 and say 50 and say 100. And then let's press like enter. Yes, I'm sure. So chaos is, think about it as another value for the variety. So it's not the styling, it's actually the variety. Basically, you're asking the bot to look for the potential outputs from your prompt into different parts of the latent space. So think about variation as a way to localize or like control the area where the bot is kind of searching for your image. So like imagine this is like a possibility space, like a big space right here. Let's say it's the full screen. And the combination of your words that is like an interior design, editorial design, photography, and what's so they exist within a part of this area. The variation is like to ask the bot to where to look for the prompt inside that area. And chaos is a big factor of that. So like by adding a number of chaos of 100, it will start to be very, very chaotic. And it's just like, we'll look for the prompt everywhere. I'm not sure, like just now I realized that I am describing, like I'm showing a lot of gestures on the screen of the Zoom on the camera, but I'm not sure if anybody's following that. If you didn't, okay, so so at least one was following it. So yeah, I'm sorry if I like to express things in a very abstract terms because I think I'm a little bit crazy. But anyway, yeah, so like chaos is basically you're like trying to look for your images at a certain portion. Chaos is now you're telling it go search everywhere, and that will create basically chaos. So so that's the case of 100. So now you can see like they have nothing to do with your prompt. Now you're taking things that it's just, it doesn't make sense anymore, because what it does is that, yeah, it found the result for like a feathers, and then it got another combination with bird that doesn't have to do with it. And now this is an office, so it had like a laptop, and it had a girl because AI is biased, or like basically all AI is biased towards like, you know, like white female girls. If an AI doesn't understand the prompt, it'll probably spit out an image of a girl. Here it's I don't know why there's a dining, but again it's very chaotic. So basically you never use this 100. 100 is like no, zero control. Now it's like starting to be extremely random, extremely meaningless. This is also another example of 100. Oh, so you know what? I think I did a mistake to do a repeat and a pre-mutation. I'm sorry. This is very confusing. I need to redo this. This is very, very confusing. So let me go back.
You repeated
You repeated the chaos. Yeah,
created
exactly.
mutation, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I shouldn't have done this. So to make this easier, let's remove the repeat. Yep, and go ahead here. But like, yeah, if you can see like all like the 100 values, they are so different from each other. Like, you know, you see this one is completely different from that one, and it's completely different from that one, because it's chaotic, basically.
So chaos will really amplify variations.
Exactly. Push it through the roof. So I want to see a value of chaos of 0 first. So this is like a value of 0. You can see I was still maintaining the same prompt, the same way, the default way that we used to do. this is a variation of 50. So this is like 50-50. Again, you can see still a reminiscent, like, you know, some parts, excuse me, some parts of our prompt, but again, sometimes it's like, it's very crazy, or like it's not following our prompts exactly. That's not what we want. This is like, again, this is 100. This is like where you have no idea what's going on here. This is a 15, which is okay. This is like actually a good value of, like, you know, a variation. So now you have like arcs here, you have like node share that is like created in such a beautiful way with feathers. And this is 10. This is also like an interesting result because now it's, you know, adding here like this. I don't know, I like this atmosphere. Like I didn't think about adding the blue before, and while I was preparing for the workshop, I did the exactly same exercise, but I'm now getting like different results, which is basically exactly what I love about generative AI or Midjourney. So I like this atmosphere. So basically, what I think, like, the chaos of 10 is good. So what I'm gonna do is I'll go here, I'll go there and copy paste it, and then I'll repeat that several times to get also like a better result. I want to go here to the chaos and then press, like, let's say 5, and then repeat 5 and enter. Can I put it down? Okay. Do you prefer to prompt for stylized first and then chaos? It doesn't matter in my opinion. Or actually, you know what? Yeah, I think it matters. I think you're right. I think to get a style, well, stylizing, it's kind of, to be honest, I don't know. But like when you put it that way, or maybe I didn't think about it that way. I think what you're trying to say, and what I also always trying to do, and what I'm trying to teach here, is to anchor you towards a process that is you can kind of build on, because you can see here the results could be very chaotic very easily, and you want to stay on track. So adding value, stylizing, and chaos is a good way to put it. So yeah, although if you also started with chaos and then you choose a certain amount of chaos and then go to stylizing, maybe it will be a good way. You know what? No, I think you're right. I think like to have stylizing before chaos is better. I yeah, I think I'm doing this unconsciously, but I think, yeah, that's the way to do it. I think, yes, I'm intending this, but very unconsciously, if that's an answer. When you hit the threshold where the pass is breaking down and feels like, oh, sure, what moves you to get back to the magic? Oh, that's very conceptual. That's very yeah, can we answer that like maybe at the end of the session, because now probably I might not shut up about this, answering this question, because this is a very deep question. What is style 350? What's the numbers relating to? Okay, let's go back to that example. So where did we introduce styling? So this is a lot of chaos that went on here. Yeah, here we started to add stylizing. Okay, so the stylizing is a number that is between 0 and 1,000, and it informs the AI to either be very, very strict about your prompt or to be very, very creative. So in the, like when I did this exercise and did a pre-mutation, so I tried 5 values of stylizing. You can see like this one is 0. So you can see like it's very, very strict. It's very, very rough, and it's following your prompt exactly to the letter, and that is not getting a good result. Maybe if you want more control, you can use like the styling value of 0, but then you won't be very conceptual about it. You won't like make something that is very creative, in my opinion. If you go to a stylizing value of 1,000, so 1,000 means that AI will be very, very creative. You can see it got creative that it actually ignored the feathers that are in the input in the prompt, like once overall, so it doesn't really care about it. The 350 is a value that I like, or I liked in that exercise. You can do whatever value, so like you can do 3 100, you can do 150, you can do 600. The value is kind of a little bit personal. It's a personal choice basically. But if you want it to be more creative, you want a value closer to 1,000. If you want like a moderate value, you have like between 200 and 500. If you want it to be very, very strict to your prompt, you go like 100 and down from there. Okay. Okay, so now we have like these. So this is like I'm repeating like, you know, various. I was repeating like from the case of 5 to get like some results. So yeah, let's say I like that one. But I actually, you know what, I want to create this with a case of 5, but I want to change the aspect ratio. So let's say I want this to be 3/4. Then enter. So up to that point, I'm not looking for. It's exactly like I'm looking for something. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, but I know like I'm looking for it. I'm not trying to control it at that point. But let's say like there's something that I like. Let's say I like this atmosphere here. So let's say I want to upscale that. Now there's some stuff that I like about that image, but maybe there's stuff that I really need to that I like to want to change. So now there's a combination between two commands. The first command, it's called, if you go here and say remix. And what remix does is that when you do a variation, it opens up a window of prompts. So now you can actually change your prompt on the process, and that will be very helpful in that example. So if you have the image here, or actually, you know what, I'm getting ahead of that. Before that, let's close the prompt and see, you see like these are like, you know, arrows here. And what these does is that if I go here to the right, this is what we call an outpainting. An outpainting is a process where you have an image and you want to build on that image basically. So you want to extend that image like to an extent. And what it does here is that it will basically add a part to your image or extend it, if that makes sense. And you can see here, like, as it has like created, it basically created almost like the same prompt. You can see like this is an office space that is being extended. It's trying to like it's keeping the source image and then expanding. But what if I go to like a remix, and then when I create, when I now press the arrow, now there's a window, and instead of like a home office, maybe I can add like a kitchen, for example. And then what I can also do is that I wanna like to enforce that prompt even more. We don't need the word entirely here, and we can do here like kitchen of furniture and appliances. So now like I wanna present like an appliances for a kitchen. So I wanna, I'm not here very specific. You can be very specific that you wanna an oven, or you want like a fridge or whatever. But I'm here, I'm just like putting it like, again, leaving it, I'm putting a context, but I'm kind of let it like be free within that context. And then I hit submit and see what we're getting. Okay, so now you can see, now it started to add like, it added appliances. There's a window here, and it also like, you know, there's a lot of variation. Well, does work very well, but this actually does work very well. But let's say I want like even more control. Let's say I want to place a fridge right here. So let's try and see how we can do that. So what I was explaining right now, so these arrows, will go through them again to do trials, but this is what we call outpainting. There's another thing that is called inpainting. And to do that, you need to upscale an image that you like. So I like number 2, so I'll say U2. And then you can see something that is called like vary region. And to do that, we will go here. And you can see now you have like two tools of selection. You have the lasso tool and you have like rectangular tool. And basically what I want to do is like I go like a rectangle here. Like, yeah, I think right here is fine. Maybe I can also add a little bit here. And then I can say a fridge, for example, and see what it will create. This is like a very, very rough, very experimental, but yeah, we can go ahead and see what it will do. Do you ever use the refresh button, the icon on the right at the upscale? Yeah, sometimes I do. It's like, yeah, if I want to create more variations, I can do this, but also because I'm doing repeat a lot of times. So my process is that I do like, once I reach like a certain structure, I start to repeat to look for more variations for that structure. Like I was doing, like I was looking for an output for a living room that is made out like of like bird's feathers. So now once I have that, I'm looking for more variations. And basically repeat is the same thing as like, you know, refreshing. So sometimes I use it, but if you're using repeat, then maybe you're better off it. Right? Like you're better off without it. Also, if you may speak about the order of the words a bit, then your version of MJ, like the older version last year, or well, the problem is like comparing models is something that we will probably, I don't know if you will have time to talk about this. But again, like I told you, like prompt engineering is quite different. I'll probably talk like, maybe what I can do is that I will show you examples of my old prompts over time, instead of like doing this as an exercise, and I'll show you like what is the difference. I'm using I'm always using the latest versions. And so if I have like when I was doing things in like Midjourney v3, I think I was one of the best people in the world who can use like that model. But when like the models changed, there were certain dynamics that like it allowed a lot of people also to be able to do prompts. And I'm always using like, you know, the latest models, but sometimes I just don't know how to feel about it. It's very confusing, and I'm still kind of figuring out if this is like the best way. But like, again, I'm here because I'm keeping up with technology, so there's no way not to use the latest models. And sometimes it's pointless to learn about the old ones. But I'll kind of show some examples at the end. Okay, so you can see now, yeah. So now we have like our kind of classic, like this pretty cool fridge, which is pretty cool. We can actually still kind of do more with this prompt. So now that we have like an image of that, now like there's something that you need to be really careful with, because this is an image that is used on painting and outpainting. If you do a variation of it, it will change the entire, oh, of course. I want to just like close the remix for 1 minute. I want to turn it off and then do another variation. Oh, but the problem, this is like, it will replace it as a fridge. That's, well, actually, that's a good example. So like, maybe this is kind of answering a little bit to Josh's question. So now you can see like, I'll show you in a minute like how to make like an input of an image, or like to do image referencing. But this is exactly what happened, is that like it used this space in the image, and then it used like a new prompt, which is a fridge, and it made the fridge as like the center of the event. It was informed from the feathers, but actually it confused it because it thought these are flowers, these are not feathers. So now it actually imposed like flowers to the images. You know, it just, now it's like going to a point where it's crazy. So like at that point, once you do in painting and out painting, this is a very late stage. So now you need to go more into control. This won't be changing the entire structure of the image. No, now you have the basic structure of the images, and now you need to either add or change some details in the image, if that makes sense. So this is just like this is kind of connected a little bit to what you were asking, Josh, but we'll talk about this more later. So now let's go open the remix again and continue in our out painting. So let's go here to this, and then go to the left. And then I will say I want a living room. I'm now trying to build a house or basically a full interior out of my my image, living room. And then let's say instead of kitchen now, say detailed furniture and accessories. Okay, and then submit.
So just so I'm following along, you were in Imagine mode and now you're in Prefer Remix mode. Is that?
It's always Imagine mode. The remix is kind of activates when I start making variation. So right now when I'm doing a prompt, if I go Imagine here, it has nothing to do with remix. If I'm creating something new, remix is only activated when I'm doing a variation. So if I decided to go here and V4, it will start it to do. It will give me this box, and now I can change the prompt while I'm doing the variation. If the remix mode is off, it will still reimagine, or like it will still imagine, but now it won't show the it will make a variation of the image regardless of like changing the prompt. It will use exactly the same prompt. Does that make sense?
Kind of. So when do you type it in you said prefer remix. I guess I'm just wondering how you actually got to the prefer remix mode, just a slash.
Oh yeah, that's just like slash and remix.
I see.
It's just like it toggles between on and off. Another way to do it is if you go to settings, you can turn it on here, on and off. So if it's green, that means it's on. If it's off.
I see. And as long as it's on, then it's going off the last image that you created.
As long as it's on, it will always show, like it will always, whenever I'm doing a variation, it will give me the option to change the prompt. If it's off, then I don't have that option anymore, and the variation will be based on the old prompt, or like the original prompt of the image. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. I actually like, this is very distracting. One of the things that you can do is actually, if you like, let's say you don't like this variation, it's like really disturbing me. So let's go here to more, and then if you go here, the reaction of X, you'll just delete it here from your screen. So these are like the variations. Okay, let's say like now we have like a basic of like, living room. So there's a sofa, but I still want to like a little bit better results. So maybe I can go here and upscale. Of course, probably I just realized maybe it's like it's a little too late, but all the resources that you'll need for workshops are like in this server. We are only using like 3 tools today. A Midjourney, you already have it. The Magnific AI and Runway. Both of these tools are cloud-based, so you don't need to install anything on your computer. You can actually operate them from your phone. Same with like Midjourney. And you can decide whether to subscribe or not as we're talking, or if you want to like basically like I will let you to have your decision about if you want to pay money to use these tools or not while we're talking or after we're talking. But for Midjourney, it is essential. So basically what we can do right now is vary region. I just want to make sure I'm in the remix mode. Turned on, perfect. Now let's go here. Let's choose this port here. Maybe also like, let's kind of remove this. And now I wanna, I'm actually in the remix mode, but okay, let's remove this and let's say a seating area. Let's say luxury sofa made from feathers. Yeah, I already have that part. Sofa. Well, soda would have been interesting. I'd probably get like a Coca-Cola can here. I always get like these mistakes, which is like pretty funny. Okay, and then let's go here, enter. There's actually something that I don't know if I ever tried it before, but I want to test it if I can do it. So let's say vary region, and with the same thing, let's try to see if I can do a repeat and how it will affect it. Should work. Oh, it didn't. Actually, okay, let's then try pre-mutation. This is crazy. Okay, yeah, so you can see here, like, it started to add humans, which is very weird. One of the, yeah, I'm not gonna go through this into the details, but probably if you don't want something from your prompt, so basically if you don't want any humans, you can just, after your prompt, so you go here. This is like something that you can try on your own. We're not gonna dive into this now, but you can go here, double dashes, and then say negative, and then you can say human, for example, and that will actually make sure that it won't include any human beings in your scene. But we're getting this as a subproduct of Remix. Remix is very uncontrolled, so or basically like in-painting and out-painting with Remix is very out of control. So yeah, here, so now it has like a seating area. So now, like, yeah, this looks like much better. So, oh, but I think I changed the, but now I lost the sofa, the fridge, because I didn't stay true to the fridge. Oh, I didn't upscale it either. Okay, but we can actually go back here. So let's say one of the images that I like. Let's say I like this one. So let's say upscale this one, and then we can go ahead and vary region. And then we can go here and we can say fridge. Oh, because there's chaos. I want to remove the chaos now. I want it to be more controlled. And then I'll go here and say fridge. It's because probably I got I got, like, you know, the ladies here because I was adding a chaos factor. So yeah. So probably after this exercise, what I will ask everybody to do like an interactive session for about say 15 minutes or like 10 minutes. So I want everybody now to go into like the prompt jam, and you can try to create anything that you want to create and basically ask me questions while we're creating. So you can try your prompt here. Maybe if we're following along and you're trying on your DM, maybe you can do it here. This will like be very beneficial to showcase how everybody is kind of trying to create something. So, but before here, yeah, I didn't get the fridge, so I'll probably make another variation. And while I'm doing it, yeah, just go, please, everybody just go here and just like try creating, like go imagine. So this is one thing good about using Discord, Midjourney on Discord, is that it's also collaborative. So now if anybody decided to kind of, like, you can see like Adrian and Paul are now working. Now you can see them like working and they can see their creations. You can actually like control their creations, which is pretty cool. Going back to the fridge because I really want that fridge. So I want to create a vary region. And then I'll go here. I'll probably try to limit this to 150. And maybe I will make, actually I want to go here. I want to create a new window, which is here. Yeah, I want to here. I want it a little bit here. Also a little bit here. I don't want to touch the stove very much. Go here. Does the double dash work across many AI platforms or just Midjourney? No, every platform is different. The syntax for Stable Diffusion doesn't have that. So Stable Diffusion is it also depending on what you're using. Are you using Automatic 1111? Are you using Comfy? So in Stable Diffusion, the commands are more detailed and more emphasized on, if I have to say. So Midjourney is a very, very user-friendly interface. Stable Diffusion is not, because now in Stable Diffusion, there are certain models, and also because it's open source, so you have to pick up the model that you want to choose, that you want to work with beforehand. So here, if you go to Midjourney, it has like a default model. It has a default CFG scale. It has a default styling value, basically. Well, CFG is the same as styling. But everything basically is set up, and here you only need to prompt. Even if you don't put an aspect ratio, it will assume it's like 1-to-1. In Stable Diffusion, you have to put all of these beforehand. You have to inform the model, or like the generative AI model, to the requirements of your image based on like prompt, CFG scale, and what sorts. So like the commands here, they only work in Midjourney. And also the prompt is different. So it's the way that you prompt to Stable Diffusion is different than the way that you prompt to Midjourney, and the way that you prompt to a certain like basically like Stable Diffusion SDXL is way different than the one on 1.5. It's different than Midjourney 5. It's different than Midjourney 6. It's a lot to take. It's a lot of input to take if you want to really control every aspect, in my opinion. And that's not the way that you. I don't know. I think if you, I'll probably talk about this like later. Again, I won't shut up about it. So maybe like once we're done. Okay. So you see, like this is a very, very detailed prompt from Hassan.
I just used
Yeah.
GPT to create
Yeah,
it.
really. Yeah. Okay, so like this is interesting. So you can see you have a long prompt. The thing is, AI doesn't understand every part of the prompt for the long prompts. Basically, it's trying to limit its the resources that it's pulling from to give you like a photorealistic result. So there is a very nice function that's shorten, or like call it a command that's called shorten. And if you go to shorten and you get this prompt and then copy paste it, so it will tell you that there are words that it's not like the AI bot is ignoring. It doesn't work for it. So basically, it doesn't for it an image is a redundant, because basically it will create an image. So you can't tell the bot that you are creating an image. It is creating an image anyway. Contemporary style home exterior is also like because this is a modern and like a contemporary style. These are both the same thing. So it ignored that. The building should, it doesn't like it doesn't need should or could or why or these kind of adjectives. And then sleek, minimalist, you said moderate, so it understood like it's a minimalist and sleek. You can see like there's things that it completely could neglect, which is ambient exterior lighting, and to enhance, like this is basically now this is turning into an excessive vocab that it doesn't need. So that's why it's like there's like a stroke on the text, or like a stroke text. And now it provide you with 4 options, or actually 5, to way that you can shorten your prompt while in a way getting the same result. So the first of all, like it ignored all these words that has a stroke. And then there's like a very, very minimal prompt at the end, where like image, style, home exterior, and lawn. So basically, let's go here. If you want to press 5, that means it will generate this prompt, and you can see the result. Oh, this is pretty cool. So basically, like, yeah, this is like the shortened version of like the prompt. Of course, it doesn't look like your prompt because like you have deleted a lot of it. But like, let's say we try to do 2. Actually, I want to turn off the next one. Oh yeah, I didn't do it. So let's say I want. Oh, let's say I want shorten. I want number 2. So you can see here, Hassan. Now it has like a more direction. Like this is closer to your prompt in a way, but it didn't have to use all like this, words to kind of describe it. I don't like. I tried using ChatGPT to create prompts, but it's actually not very successful. It doesn't have a proper understanding of like the model of how like other models work. So think about it this way. I don't think it has any training of creating prompts for Midjourney V6. It doesn't know how it operates. When you ask ChatGPT to create a prompt for you, it will create something that it thinks like it will work, but philosophically speaking, it doesn't have the ability to understand how it works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe we should wait for the GPT-5, then it will have that capability.
But then there will be a newer model of Midjourney V6 or basically Midjourney V7 that it wasn't being trained on. I think the best way to get results out of Midjourney is to ask the Midjourney bot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just like for me, I always think about it like learning the capabilities of the tool and then trying to see how I can use it, or like like in a way, I feel like I use AI to also redefine my own